Some characters are obsessed with the idea of being in love, but then when they actually get it, they can't seem to stop themselves from running in the opposite direction. Across film and television, so many characters are plagued by commitment issues that keep them from actually being able to settle in and enjoy the relationships they manage to get into. So what is it that makes the idea of being in love so alluring, but the actual experience of it a lot more scary? Let's take a closer look.
Why I run, sometimes ride away from things.
Does it matter?
I think so.
Most characters on screen are looking for love to some degree, but some of them are really intense about their search. They've been shaped by our culture to believe that love is not only something they should want, but something that will complete them. And if they're a woman, that it's the only thing that should really matter in her life. This leads to them obsessively searching for that perfect relationship, that moment that everything finally just falls into place. Then they find the one, and for some reason it just doesn't work out. And then they find another one, only to find again something's wrong. And then they find another one, only to, surprise, realize that there's just some reason they can't commit.
There's no way for me to tell you this. At least there's no new way for me to tell you this. I just don't think things are gonna work out.
Sometimes this is just writers' way of getting rid of runner-up love interest before finally pairing up the movie or show's true pairing. But a lot of the time, it's an actual integral part of the character themselves. Their fear of commitment isn't just a plot contrivance, it's a real part of who they are, whether they're ready to admit it or not.
See, for all your big talk about being ready for a relationship, deep down you're single. It's your default setting.
A major roadblock for these types of characters is that they aren't really looking for love. They're looking for someone to love them.
I'm hopeless and awkward and desperate for love!
They often aren't actually searching for a real equal partnership. They just want to be the focus of someone else's desire. They approach their relationships as fantasies. They've already dreamed up how everything will be, how they'll come across, how the other person will behave, and how they'll have a happily ever after with no conflict. And when life doesn't turn out to be that way, they feel like everything is broken. They don't want to have to work on building love or to deal with the complexities of creating a life with another person. They just want it to appear perfect and without them having to actually contribute anything.
If you give up every time you have a fight with someone, you'd never be with anyone longer than... Oh...
Other times, characters can't commit because in their desperation to find that perfect love, they've been trying to cheat their way to their happily ever after by pretending to be something they're not. But then once they actually start getting close to anyone, they have to contend with the constant fear that their ruse will be uncovered, and so it's on to the next one. The most classic example of this is Maggie from Runaway Bride. She became locally famous because she ditched 3 separate fiancés at the altar, very literally running from the commitment, before the film even starts, and is on to the 4th when we meet her. Eventually, we come to find that her problem actually isn't with committing, so much as having to keep the charade up forever, because in every relationship, she spent the entire time pretending to be the woman she thinks each guy wants, instead of being herself. And so, every time she makes it to the altar, she realizes that if she goes through with it, she'll be stuck having to pretend to be that other version of herself forever.
When I was walking down the aisle, I was walking toward somebody who had no idea who I really was.
In the end, she's able to overcome her fear by taking the time to get to know herself, and after doing so, is able to enter into a relationship with someone who knows and likes the real her.
Do you, Maggie, take Ike to be your lawfully wedded husband?
As these characters know, committing can be hard, even when you really do like someone or something. I definitely have this problem with fragrances. I love how they can totally change up my vibe and even remind me of old memories. This has always made it difficult to commit to just one signature scent. I love to try new ones out and switch things up for the seasons. I often gravitate towards either warm vanilla or clean scents, but sometimes I do love to get a bit floral, especially in spring and summer. So that's why I love that Scentbird allows me to try out lots of different fragrances at an affordable price. Rose's Vanille by Mancera is a lovely, sweet, but not too sweet, mix of rose and vanilla, with cedarwood, lemon, and white musk providing more complexity. Juliet Has a Gun's Nana perfume has been a longtime favorite of mine, so I was so excited to see it available. It's super simple and clean and just perfect for every day. This bottle is not blue by Histories du Parfums is pretty much summer in a bottle, perfect for lounging by the pool, or at least smelling like you are, even when you can't be. Judith Ripka's Moonlit Nights is an elegant scent that smells how I would imagine it would smell inside of a fancy summer lake house, combining floral and bergamot notes with amber, sandalwood, and oud. Scentbird has a huge range of fragrances, so no matter what scent profile you prefer, they'll have options for you. And it's great because you don't have to commit to just one. You can try out different scents each month. They all come in these convenient 30-day supplies, so you really get to get a proper test of it instead of just tiny little trials that barely spray once. And they have everything from luxury brands like Prada to more niche brands like Roja, and everything in between. And if you don't know what kinds of scents you like, don't worry. They've got a quiz you can do right on their website to help you figure out which ones to go for. Plus, there are so many reviews from the Scentbird community to help you really get a grasp for each fragrance's vibe before you order. Best of all, they've given us a code, the Take 55, for you to use to get 55% off of your first month at Scentbird. So you'll get your first fragrance for only $8. Find your new favorite scent or scents and support The Take. That's code the Take 55 for 55% off your first month at Scentbird. Sometimes, characters who are on the other end of the spectrum, who genuinely aren't interested in settling down, get caught up in this trope because they keep getting caught up in situationships with people who do want that commitment. Robin on How I Met Your Mother is a classic example. She's open from the very beginning about how she's not at all interested in a serious relationship or settling down.
I mean, we barely know each other, and you're looking at me with that look like, let's fall in love and get married and have kids. It's a great look. But you're looking at the wrong girl.
She isn't afraid of or running from love. She just has other things that she's interested in and wants to focus on in her life. Bridgerton's eternal bachelor Benedict has no desire to settle down, and instead quite enjoys his life of romantic and sexual freedom. Though he's the second oldest son, he doesn't face the same pressures and fears around remaining unmarried that his sisters have to deal with. Tilly does open up to him about her feelings for him, but he just isn't looking for a steady relationship at this point in his life, and so turns her down. Because being in a relationship and finding love is seen as such an important part of life, characters like these can often find themselves getting labeled as commitment phobes, even though they're not running from anything. They just know what they want, and it happens to not align with what society thinks they should want. For the characters that are, in fact, fleeing from commitment, however, there can actually be a lot of reasons for their cold feet. Because these characters are often pretty obsessed with being in a relationship, and in their obsession with idealized romance have learned how to, at least at first, say and do all of the right things, they usually don't have a hard time getting into relationships. But once they're actually in it, and being confronted by the messy, complicated reality of sharing your life with someone, the panic starts setting in. They start to realize that this love won't fix all of their problems, and that the other person won't always act exactly the way they imagined. And so then they start to just completely detach themselves from the relationship, no matter how intensely they were dedicated to it before.
24 hours ago, you were begging me to bring some other girl to my wedding, and now you're over her?
I've moved on.
Sometimes this fear stems from the idea that being in a solid, committed relationship means that they have to really grow up and get their own act together. Settling down is often seen as the last big leap into proper adulthood, and they fear that it means giving up a lot of the freedom they enjoy. Nick and Jess on New Girl didn't work out their first time around because Nick was afraid of committing to their future, or really any adult future at all.
I'm sorry that my only doctor friend is a gynecologist, but you're broke. So you're gonna have to shut your mouth and you're gonna tag the things that you want in this lucky magazine.
Their timing just wasn't quite right. She was ready to start taking big steps forward, and he definitely was not.
What do you want from me, Jess?
I just want you to take a little more responsibility.
But in the end, Nick did manage to overcome his fear of commitment and adulthood, and they worked everything out. Sex and the City's Carrie Bradshaw constantly ran from commitment, except to the one guy who was not willing to commit to her, of course. She was unsure of her relationship with Aiden pretty much the entire time they were together, and every time he attempted to take things to the next level, it absolutely freaked her out. She preferred the idea of big because she preferred acting like big. She didn't want someone who was going to expect a lot from her, or always be there, or be seeking commitment from her.
Okay, I have something to tell you, and you're not gonna like it. I'm having an affair with Big. And also, I'm smoking again. I'm smoking, and I'm sleeping with Big.
While she says she wants Big to commit, to be ready to settle down, what really continues to draw her to him is the very fact that, just like her, he never really will. Fear of commitment is often born out of very real, deeply hidden issues. One day's Dex is a playboy who's not interested in giving up his partying ways to settle down. He avoids putting his full self into anything, his relationships, his career, because he feels like if he doesn't fully commit, then it won't be his fault when things go wrong. He held anyone and anything that really meant something to him at arm's length because of his insecurity in who he was, and his self-destructive nature made it hard for anyone to even try to get close to him. But after a very long journey of personal growth, he does finally face that fear head-on and find the courage to commit to the love that's been right in front of his face all along.
It's a first draft.
We grew up together. I liked that.
On Friends, Chandler Bing is initially a huge commitment phobe, constantly breaking up with women for the silliest reasons.
Broke up with her.
Oh, why? Don't tell me. Because of the big nostril thing?
How many perfectly fine women are you going to reject over the most superficial, insignificant...
At its core, the issue stems from him being scarred by his parents' divorce. Watching their breakup made him distrustful of the entire idea of relationships. When he eventually gets together with Monica, his old fears start creeping back in and he starts looking for the exit.
You are obsessed with babies and marriage and everything that's related to babies and marriage. You know what? I got a good idea. Why don't we turn the heat down on this pressure cooker?
But Monica, being Monica, is willing to take control of the situation.
Chandler, this isn't about me. This is about you and all your weird relationship commitment crap.
And help steer him towards healthier coping mechanisms so that he can overcome his commitment issues and be a good partner.
You know when I said that I want you to deal with this relationship stuff all on your own? Well, you're not ready for that.
I didn't think I was.
Often the biggest step to getting over a fear of commitment is getting over your fear of being yourself and being truly seen by the other people in your life. Sometimes this can be sparked by finding the person they really do want to be with and realizing that they've got to get their act together. Other times, characters continue to feel like long-term commitment isn't for them, but not because they're afraid or hiding something about themselves, but just because they've found other things they want to focus on. Maeve began sex education afraid to commit to her relationship with Jackson, and then went on to have an on-again, off-again relationship with Otis over the course of the show. They didn't end up together in the end, but not because she was afraid of committing, but because she wanted to chase her dreams. Love isn't a magic cure-all, and it also isn't something to be afraid of. Opening yourself up to another person, or persons, fully and really committing to a relationship can be scary, but in the end, it can be worth taking the leap.
I don't believe in soulmates either.
You don't?
No. I don't think that you and I were destined to end up together. I think that we fell in love and we work hard at our relationship.
Thanks to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. Scan our QR code or head over to Scentbird.com and use our code TheTake55 to get 55% off your first month of Scentbird. That's The Take. Click here to watch the video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And make sure to subscribe to our Patreon for exclusive new videos.